trouble with the microphone. Something's in retrograde's all I know. But anyway, I do want to encourage you to do it. So anybody that did it, what did you learn? Where are you in your process? You know, how have you shifted? You know, as you looked at it, how have you shifted due to your life experiences? Because part of the assignment was, on the bottom you did your chronological life, and on the top you did your spiritual, your spiritual life. What, if any, were insights? What's your awareness? What did you take away from the process? Anyone? Yes, go ahead, Miriam.
What I took away was that I had a long time of non-spiritual. Very long time of non-spiritual. A lot of confusion. And when I was in college, I started to kind of like look around.
Right.
And then I was in the Army, and then decided to forget about it. And then from I take that. When my sister died, I claimed I hated God. And then from 15 to 46, when my accident happened in Afghanistan,
right,
I kind of just flatlined. And it wasn't until I crashed, and I had different people kind of come into my life.
right,
And a lady came daily to my room and tried to pray, and I threw her out. And then I had a nurse that would kind of lay hands on me. I would tell her to leave me alone. And then there was this daily, there was a janitorial guy. And we connected.
right,
And we went through the same thing. He was a veteran.
right, right,
And he always had, I spent 3 years in the hospital, he always had a thought of the day for me every single day.
wow.
And even on his days off. And then he kind of like asked me, why I had so much hate. And he had the same thing.
Right.
Okay, and then when I left I retired in the military, I received a working dog, Sandy, that you guys haven't met, you will. I retired, and then I had a flatline. The whole life.
Oh, everything shifted.
Everything.
Yes, yes.
And when that happened, a lot of things happened in 2013, between depression and being admitted that suicide was a big attemption.
Right.
Anyway, that's when I just, I went to F-bomb, God forgive me, I need your help.
Right.
And I said, I'm sorry. And then life started changing.
Right.
I moved to Gainesville, I met my wife. We attended a thing called Greenhouse Church. And then I moved to Orlando. We bought our greenhouse. And on 17 January, Lisa and I came to Christ Church Unity, and I claimed the Pew Number 5.
Thank you so much for sharing that. I know you guys may have not heard every word, but that's all right, because it's about her process, and we honor that. And I'm glad you shared the times when you flatlined. Everybody in here has probably had a moment of that. Sometimes it's a moment, sometimes it's years. Of where we say, where the hell is God? F this. I did not sign up for this. This is not what I asked for. And it often happens at a death or an injury or an illness when it feels like God is against us. It was a long time. I didn't know you were in the hospital 3 years. But, yeah, and it was your helicopter that got hit in Afghanistan, right? Yeah, you got hit when you were flying. So, yeah, that's huge. And thank you for your service to our country. I tell you, and I'll tell everybody here, these two have really inspired me, Dee and Miriam, in terms of their service, because on Veterans Day, I'm going to do something. I always do something, but I'm going to do something extra this year, and it's these two women that inspired us. So both of you, thank you. Thank you. So, yeah, and the thing to remember, even when it feels like we said, you know, F this and I don't know God, God never left. Amen. Right? That even in those times when you say, I hated God, God is big enough to handle all that. Yeah. And that even in that, God is in there. Even if it doesn't feel like it. Right? Even those people trying to lay out of hands, I love that the one you connected with was the one, that's probably who I would have liked too. Sometimes those chaplains freak me out. And I've been one, so I can say that, you know. And I worked with a lot of veterans, interestingly enough. So, thank you for sharing your process. And it does sound like you had some awarenesses and some learnings. And now, you know, it sounds like, and I'll speak for all of us, anytime you get serious about the spiritual journey, you become a spiritual warrior. So you've been a physical warrior. You've done that. You know how to do it. So now it's taking that energy and applying it to your spiritual life. About, I don't care what this takes, I'm doing it.
And that's what Lisa and I have talked about. That
right.
That when I be in here, that and I'm not trying to kiss your butt, but
understood. You got it. Understood.
That it doesn't stop on Sunday for us.
Right.
I feel it like what things that you say, we apply it during the week or.
But it's all the people in this church.
It is.
Yeah.
It's everybody.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And it's like we can't wait for Sunday, or we can't get enough. Or, you know,
I love it. Yeah.
So I don't know. I never been with somebody like that. You know, I just, you know, my grandma used to make, you know, I used to run all over the church. You know.
Right. Well, you're showing up for yourself and for your soul, and I'm gonna tell you, I'm not gonna take no for an answer from people. If you're serious, show up for yourself. Amen. Otherwise, you know, sit down. What do you know? I don't have time. I do not have time. And this I have said this before, where somebody comes around, I just want to do this, and I say, when you're ready to practice spiritual principle, come back to me. Otherwise, I do not have time. I mean, I'm over with these kind of appointments where somebody comes in and is not ready to do their spiritual work. You know, I have hundreds of people who are ready, so let's go. Right? But, you know, if you want to be, you know, if you want to know and the spiritual work, well, then show up and do it. Right? Nobody can do it for you. It's about you and your soul. You think this isn't important?
Yeah. But it's nice to have a partner.
Nice to have a partner.
That's
beautiful.
That feels the same.
You got it. That's so inspiring, right?
Yes.
I'm so happy for both of you. Yes.
Because she doesn't do anything normal. It's like a process, and it's like, so she's been sitting in the kitchen for like 2 days straight, and it's like she doesn't eat. She's just like, so I peek out, and it's like, oh my God, she's still doing that.
She's still doing the right way.
Yeah, so then I send her, I'm reading this Spirit Lives book, so I'll take pictures of it with my phone and then text it to her.
That's great. Thank you so much for sharing that. Anybody else? Somebody else had their hand up too. Maureen?
Well, I found a lot of good things.
Good.
My beginning filled with love, happiness, great memories as a young child. Felt a lot of love and happiness. And moved then, as I went into adolescence, understood that my family was dysfunctional, like you know, most. But,
like, I mean, if I said anybody in here with a functional family, raise your hand. Yeah, I mean, just so you know, you're in good company. Go right ahead.
And a family that did not speak of, did not know. I didn't know until many years later that it was ruled by alcoholism. So
Sure, right.
that was a big part of it.
Right.
My process through all of those years was one of feeling apart from my family, feeling responsible for my family,
Yes.
and also feeling inadequate. I took on a great deal of responsibility as we had a series of deaths in my family, and I really felt responsible and I really felt inadequate.
Yes.
But through that trauma, one member of my family became an addict, and we together as a family found 12-step.
Wow.
We found a New Thought Church with Science of Mind, and that was about 20 years ago, 25 years ago, and that began, you know, an awareness. That was the first awareness. So I see that tragedy, seeming tragedy, as being something that opened up, you know, a whole new universe for me.
Right.
Through that, we had, you know, the person addicted became recovered,
Right.
and went on to lead a wonderful life. I kind of still stayed in that, you know, inadequate place. And then successful in my career, always successful in my career, always feeling like I was nothing. But then I came retired, and I came here, which led me to a 12-step program for Overeaters Anonymous, which led me to the classes here and the fellowship here.
Right.
And I will tell you, the shift in 1 year is nothing short of miraculous to me. My goal is to become the person I was created to be. And I know that it is happening. And there are so many things, everything has been meaningful to me. And it shows up every day. I've lost 80 pounds, which is wonderful. I love that. But there's more on the inside.
Yes.
That has
shifted it.
And I just have to tell just this one little cute story, because to me it was just a small little humorous example of everything that's happened in my life for the past year, and I believe it was sent from God. So last week I went out to dinner, had steamed cabbage, had steamed spinach, loved the steamed spinach. Oh, it's delicious. Next day went to the grocery store at Publix. As I'm walking in, I thought to myself, I want to get some of that spinach. I'm going to make some of that spinach. Shopped, came out to the car, they're loading in with groceries, a young girl who I had seen shopping and thought, isn't she cute? Just noticed her. Who knows why? I think I know why. She was next to me loading her groceries, and she turned to me and said, "Did you want spinach?" And I said, "What?" She said, "Did you want some spinach? It was 2 for 1, and I got the 2, and I can't, I'll use up the 1 bag, but then the other bag goes above the bag. If you can use it." I said, and I told her the story. I know, and I took the spinach and drove home and thought, this is just one little, it's spinach. But I am getting everything I want. And all I said was, in my mind, I want spinach.
Yes. Thank you so much for sharing that. And aren't those the times we feel connected?
Yes.
Right? It's like a friend of mine calls, and there's actually an author who calls them God winks.
Yeah.
Right? I love that. It might even, I think I even have the book on it. I can't remember. But anyway, it's a God wink. It's when those things happen. Like, I just reached out to the friend who says it today. I said, "Hey, I need this guy's last name. You introduced me to him." "Well, funny you should ask. He just walked by." Okay, God wink. Because, here's another God wink. It's like those times, and when you start really paying attention to your soul, you start using your intuition. You're in dialogue with it throughout the day, and it's almost always for me a silent knowing where I'm like leaning into something or feeling into something, and I'm starting to use my intuition. Things like that just start happening. They fall into your lap, or a conversation, or a spinach, or an unexpected gift, something that you thought about and somebody just brings it to you. That's what starts happening when you start getting in alignment with God's good for you. Because God will bless us at whatever level we're ready to receive.
Yes.
That's very, very important to remember, that whatever is in your consciousness, God will bring you, because that's just how the universe is set up. It's not like there's a guy on a throne who says, you did something bad, you're not getting it. It's that there's this automatic give and take, giving and receiving, this giving and exchange back, that's how the universe was set up, and it's called karma. It's coming back to what we've been talking about. So that you held that thought in mind and it came to you, I'm not surprised, because you're getting clearer and clearer and clearer. And the clearer we get, the quicker we begin to manifest. Right? So clarity brings manifestation. Clarity brings manifestation. Let's say that together. Clarity brings manifestation. I'm working on some clarity in my own life right now. It's a really great thing to be working on, right? This process is a clearing process, because you start to get perspective. Often in life, when we're going through life, I had a teacher one time who called it the first floor elevator view. When you're in the first floor of an elevator, all you can see if you're standing in there, you see the ashtray right outside, or maybe they don't have those anymore, but anyway, you see the ashtray right outside in the other elevator. But if you go up 30 feet, it's a completely different view, isn't it?
Yeah.
I love those elevators where you can see out real far, you know the ones I'm talking about? And you look down and you say, my God, those people look so little. You have a whole different perspective. This process, doing the life plan, gives you the 30-foot perspective where you can see behind you. Therefore, you can start predicting a little bit what's coming, because you have proper perspective on what's been so far. But often we're in life at the first floor view, and we're only seeing what's right in front of us. Right? Like you may be needing to manifest something right now, and all you can see is what you don't have, forgetting that many times in the past you have manifested. But all you're seeing is this problem right here, and that's where you're focusing. You don't have proper perspective. Sometimes you have to go in and say, wait a minute, what did I do last time I manifested, right? I held the thought, I affirmed it, you know? So, wonderful. Thank you for sharing that.
Amen.
Go ahead, Karen, then Britt, and then we'll move on. Go ahead.
Just real quick, I noticed a pattern, like
Yes.
really high and then the valley. It was almost like I had something really good happen so that it could protect me during the downtime.
Yes.
And then immediately went back up, like,
Right.
and when I went back up, it was higher. So
Yes.
there is that like up and down thing
Right.
going on, but it's happened quicker the older I've gotten. Like the down is really down, but it's for a very minimal time.
Right.
And when I go back up, it's even that higher. So like.
Wonderful. Yes, and that is absolutely the process. Anybody's process in here just go up? No, hasn't everybody's mostly gone like, hasn't mostly gone like this, and, you know, and we're down here, we think, my God, how did I get back in? Woo, this is fun. Okay, right, great insight. And so, again, a great perspective. So the next time you're in a down, you can say to yourself, you know what, I've been here before, and I will move from here.
And I think I already do it, that's why it happens
Right,
so fast.
that's why it happens so fast. So that's great, great. Great for everybody in here to remember that, because many people here in our ministry, I know, struggle with depression, and that's one of the hardest ones to get out of, because when you're in it, it feels like it's never going to stop. You know, even though we know it's on some level it's possible, at the moment it's happening, we can't see it. Right? So anybody in here that's applying to, remember that, okay? That it does get better. All right, good, thank you. Britt.
I noticed a couple of things. The first thing that I noticed was that I had like 4 distinct new lives, like where my life was like, okay, that's
Right.
that part is over, and
Right.
now it's a new life. Like it was like,
A new play.
yeah, it totally was, and accompanied with new friends and new, you know, like everything was new.
Everything is right.
Everything different, all that.
Everything true. Sorry, I forgot to put that. Sorry, Rick, go ahead. I'm not disrespecting. It's my fault.
It was interesting that I
that I, could actually like draw a line.
Yes.
Okay, that there was such a separation
Right.
between that and that. And then the other thing was that I was looking at your line, and I was starting to do that, but I ended up doing it differently. I ended up like at birth, my spirituality was like up here.
Great.
And then as things happened, it
Uh-huh.
went, and then finally, I feel like I'm like finally getting now to the point, maybe like 40 something years later, where I'm about equal with how I was when I was born.
Wonderful.
So now it's like,
Wonderful, wonderful insight, and what a great way to start your journey. Hi, I think that's great. I also think you're exactly right, and I want to speak to it a little bit about how when we make real strong shifts in our spiritual journey, it is like beginning a new lifetime. And when I say things like, you will come back most likely, what I'm meaning is that, or like I've said, this is a whole new lifetime for me. It's because a shift is so big that's happened that a lot of people, and I'm not making this wrong, don't hear it that way, and I always compare it to people I grew up with, because I grew up with a lot of characters growing up in the South. And, there was a guy up the street, that had goats, and I love that man. Oh my God. They kind of, shuffled like that. Kind of, and that's just kind of how he meant so much to me. So I'm not minimizing. I adore, I think of him all the time, and he thought and talked about the same thing for all the years I knew him. Now, it's not bad, but that one lifetime, he was really sustained in that one consciousness. Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah. So, whereas if I look at myself, that's not true. I was in this consciousness till I turned 18. I said, I am moving to Seattle. I am out. Going far away as I could possibly get, and this is my new life. Brand new people, brand new culture, brand new way of being, boom, new lifetime. So, whereas, say my siblings all kind of stay right. So it's not bad, not good. It's just a way to look at your journey. So it's like when you're conscious about evolving on your journey, yes, you are like doing many lifetimes in one. Wonderful. It's a great way to speed up your soul's journey and your evolution. Great. It's also not belittling the other way, because that some of those people in my life were such anchors for me, because my home life was so insane that some of those people who were just around me that were just solid, that I just knew who they were, what a gift to me. So there's nothing wrong with it. It's just good to notice in your journey if you are evolving or you're not. And what do you want to be doing? Because as you go up, like an evolutionary step, you're right. Often it's a change in income. It's often, if not always, a change of friends. It's like all of a sudden all the characters shift. And it's not like the old friends were bad. It's just that you're connecting on a different level. You just say, oh, we haven't talked lately. Have you ever had that happen? Raise your hand. Yes. Not bad people. It also happens often when people get sober, right? It's like, okay, new lifetime, baby. Those other people, I can't hang with them, because when I hang with them, it ain't good, right? So, new lifetime, your soul's saying, ready to grow, right? So, all right, good. Thank you so much for saying that. Let's move ahead to the next slide. Okay, I've added a different thought to this. We started this the first week. This is the third week. So your soul, you are not your body. You are not your personality. These are just reminders. You are not your income. You have been here before. You will come here again most likely. Your karma is linked with your family's karma. Remember we did that last week. And now this week is forgiveness will free you of your karma. Praise God. Say, can I have an amen? Amen. And that's just a fact. Forgiveness is so powerful. My partner does work with, she calls it ancestor work. I was mentored by somebody different from her, where we call it spirit work, but it's the same thing, where you're working with spirits that have passed on and need some type of healing so they can move into their next incarnation. And what always happens in this middle section when you're working with the spirits is a forgiveness piece. Forgiveness is necessary to evolve. Don't let anybody tell you differently. Forgiveness is necessary to evolve. Say that with me. Forgiveness is necessary to evolve. I will also say before we get into anything, there have been people in my life that I had to work on for 20 years before I was ready to forgive. I'm not the type of minister that necessarily says, okay, something bad happened to you, forgive them right away. Forgiveness is a process. It often takes weeks, months, even years. That's not doing it wrong. That's honoring your aspect of the process. There will also be times where you think, I'm totally complete with this, and then something comes up again, and you've got to look at it again.
Yes.
It's a deeper level, of healing for you, and possibly even the other soul. But remember that if you're not ready to forgive, don't force it. Right? Don't force it. Work the process that you're in. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Go ahead, Britt.
Okay, so you know how a lot of times sometimes like forgiveness will just, like you haven't even been thinking about it, but it'll just like wash over you. Like
Totally.
Or like it's cool. So does it really speed up the process to do a forgiveness process, or will it come when it comes?
Yes. Both will happen. And if you're guided or thinking about doing a process, we'll do it. Because when you're moving towards forgiveness, you're acting in the best interest of your soul, period. Now, so, some are easier to forgive than others.
Right.
And some of them, you have to work more than once in many different ways. And, before it does whoosh through. And that's my experience with it normally. But have processes helped me? Yes, tremendously. Although one situation I worked, which I mentioned in the last class, I won't go into the whole situation. But I worked it, and I realized, you know what, this is not even my stuff. I mean, I was doing, I bought my therapist's car with the amount of therapy I did on this guy. I mean, somebody I was working with, and I loved him, but whatever, I always work with people really well, and that was a real weird situation, and once I got, this is not my stuff, it was pretty much over. And then I left the job shortly after that, but it was an important part of my process. I was like, forgiveness, what is it, blah, 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 and I finally was like, you know what, this is not my play, this is his, and I'm inserting myself in here. So sometimes I've worked processes when I haven't needed to, for sure, but did I learn something? Yes.
And it sounds like the process just puts you in alignment
Yes.
with the...
Right, and it helped me get there. It helped me get there, because I wasn't getting there just with my personality, and the therapy was not helping,
Right.
even though I loved my therapist. I was like, okay, why is this still happening? And it wasn't actually until I did a regression, past life regression, and I don't recommend this, I did on myself. It was really, but I got what I needed. There was nobody there to go to, so I figured it out. Okay. Teresa Marie, do you have your hand up, or Kira? Or both?
I wanted to ask, the forgiveness was free from me before, but my forgiveness has been about myself, just over the years, I moved young, it's just all stuff.
Right.
My lifetime.
Right.
And I continue to do the forgiveness work on myself to get enough to like I should move on to others. But I've been doing this off and on for years since I've been here, but
Right.
I'm back at me and I won't let go of me.
Good. I think that's a great process. All of our unforgiveness of others is really over a reflection of our own unforgiveness of self. So that's the right idea.
Oh, I know what I'm done with. I'm forgiving myself.
Say what you know to keep doing it. Your soul will tell you. And everybody's process is so different that if I said, okay, Britt, you do it, and you know what I mean? Only you can know. It's me really trusting our theology totally, that you know what your soul needs to do. Just like you know what? No, I'm going to keep doing it on myself. I think I told the class how mine shifted when I was doing the forgiveness thing, and then all of a sudden it shifted to I love myself instead of I forgive myself. So sometimes we just wait till we feel a shift. And that's how we know too, and we'll get into those questions as we go. Carol, what were you going to say?
I just, it was funny because 2 weeks ago I started doing the forgiveness work,
Mhm.
and then I had done it on myself and a few others, and I'm like, great, I know I need to do it on some others, but I'm gonna take the week off. And then today, I had a moment where I was like, I should have never stopped that.
I should have never taken a week off.
Oh, yeah, so it was just funny just to share, like, if you're ever thinking you can take a break of it, really, you might not be done with it yet, you know, like,
Right.
because you wanted a break from it, but, yeah.
I know.
That's a lot when you're doing it, because I was doing 3 people.
That is a lot. I would
And I
say
was like, that was a lot. I should not have done 3 people.
maybe one at a time.
Yeah, maybe one at a time.
Yeah, when I was-
shooting myself and 2 others.
When I was working with a mentor, I said to her, you know, I was on vacation, all this crap came up, and I couldn't believe it. She said, "You think God goes on vacation?" I was like, okay. All right, go ahead. Yeah.
I've been doing the forgiveness,
Good girl.
and it's all like smooth sailing, and then like an hour later, I hit a pocket of like an emotional crap that just whoosh, right? And it's like, I don't know where all this anger is. It's not really attached to specific detailed things. It's just
I'm glad you mentioned that. Right, I'm glad you mentioned that. And so, can I comment on that? Or- Okay, so I'm glad you mentioned it. Anytime we do forgiveness work, it's like a roto-rooter for the soul.
Oh,
Has anybody ever done roto-rooter in their plumbing? You get some shit, man. I'm just saying. Oh my God, this is being recorded. I brought my shit kicker. What can I say? Okay, so you're right to speak to it, because it's like you're going down, you're cleaning out this stuff, and it's like, ugh. The key is to not on somebody else.
exactly.
You know, so we want to have a place where we can let that out, whether it's doing a fast walk, where we're, you know, okay, God, I'm releasing all this, whatever, you know, and you're saying it, screaming into a pillow is wonderful way to release the energy. There's one that I use, I don't know, some people find it a little, I don't know what the word is, but I'll just show you. If I'm having, I had to do it on a Sunday before. Sometimes people come up to me right before service and say really inappropriate things. I mean, I don't know. I can't think of one right now, but yeah, like maybe I really don't like what you're wearing today, or that makes you look fat or something. I'm just saying. I'm using that as an example. Whatever, you know. And, you know, I'll need to have a feeling about that. And I can't go like that on somebody who's hurting and clearly is just projecting, and it has nothing to do with really. Right, so I'll go out my back door and go, and that releases it. Because the energy has to have some place to go. And so what we want to remember is that everything we've ever experienced, for all of us, is not only in our cellular memory, it's in our bodies. And so it's why, it's so often in the spiritual journey, the body gets left out. It's why we need to do yoga. It's why we need to walk. It's why we need to move. I mean, you know, there was one guy I was working with one time. He's like, well, I don't journal, I don't this. I said, go hit a bucket of balls. He goes, I can do that? And I said, that's wonderful spiritual work. Every ball you hit, I release. Just, I mean, go to the you know, the base of the batting cages, go to a driving range, hit, you know, 500 balls. I can't hit 500 balls. I said, hit till you cannot hit anymore and put all that energy into that. Let the body move it out, because it's toxic for the body to hold all that resentment.
Amen.
And I just saw a thing, and I didn't get to watch the whole thing about, now there's, I don't know, medical proof. Okay, so medical proof that proves forgiveness helps you release disease.
Yes.
Because of how it shifts, your body. So I'm just saying. So, but you do need to work with the negative piece that comes up. The old teachers in Unity called it chemicalization. It's where you're starting to put in all this new information, and the old comes up for healing. And so often, the thing that you start affirming or forgiving, all the stuff that's the opposite comes up. You go, where the hell did this come from? This is what I'm trying to release. And Spirit goes, are you sure? Right? And so then, so doing something with that that comes up is great. But I wouldn't not do anything because it's coming up because it's wanting to be released from you, right? So, and often a physical thing is really, really good, you know, on your own, in the privacy or your own, whatever. And in the car, going down the road, hitting a bucket of balls, doing a walk, and do it consciously where you're saying, I release. I mean, everything you do really is spiritual and is important to your growth. Like, I was working with this gal for a while one time, and she was really releasing a lot of toxic energy. And I was telling her about this, how to do this bath, special bath. You know, if you do an Epsom salt bath, 2 cups of Epsom salt for 20 minutes in a bath, it really releases a lot of negative energy. You know, and so I said, you know, in the bath, this is a spiritual experience. And as you are in the bath, imagine Spirit taking, the water is cleansing. Wash yourself 7 times and imagine a new creation being made, and then as it releases, affirm that all the negativity is leaving the tub. You see what I'm saying? Like, all these practices can be done in the course of a normal life, right? So, and it gives the negativity somewhere to go. But that Epsom bath, now I need to, the only disclaimer is if you are diabetic, you cannot do an Epsom bath. So you need to check with your doctor. But another one is to do a pound of baking soda and a pound of sea salt in the bath as well. Again, I would check with your doctor if you're not sure. But that's a really good one to do also to release negative energy. And if you do it, the water will be gray. I swear. After every workshop, I do one. Very, very interesting. The water changes color. It's amazing. It's the negative energy. Yes, Denise.
A question. On this forgiveness work, I just had a very spiritual healer friend of mine talk to me about our soul.
Yes.
So, like, I thought I'd forgiven someone, like from my past family, and then all of a sudden, there's something deeper, and I'm like, what the hell? I forgave that like 20 years ago. And he was telling me that our soul has a memory.
Yes.
It doesn't forget things, and when we're ready, our soul will now have to go through that forgiveness work, but he didn't tell me what the steps were.
Right.
So is there different for getting to the soul, those soul memories?
Yes, I mean, well, I would say, yeah, the idea of forgive and forget, the forget part, I'd say forget about that. I haven't found that to be true. What I have found is that the deeper the work and the longer the process is, the less the charge, and pretty soon you forget it's kind of there. You know, for my history and, you know, what I've experienced, I've worked it so much that, you know, I could say the word abuse and not bawl my eyes out. Well, there was a time I couldn't do that. To hear the word abuse, just the word, so traumatized me. I couldn't talk about it. So clearly there was more healing work to do. It wasn't wrong. It was just where I was in my, you know, my process with it. So yeah, over time, and I am going to give you a forgiveness prayer, and I'm going to give you 3 processes at the end tonight to do. One is a very advanced process I've never given anybody before. So I have great faith in you. Oh, sorry. Did you have a question, Lisa?
Real quick, on the forgiveness, if you're doing forgiveness and say whoever you're forgiving, they don't change, does your karma still get released, or does
Oh, yes. Oh, that's a great question. So I want to make sure everybody heard it. If you're forgiving somebody, does their karma change? And, right?
Will yours be stuck if they just stay the same?
No, because they won't change, probably, unless they choose to. So the forgiveness piece is about releasing our toxic energy that we're holding against another. Now, when we do the releasing, we're giving them a big soul opportunity. But, because everything is felt on the soul level. However, normally in a forgiveness process, it's rare in my experience, and as I've worked with hundreds of people over the years, it's rare that the other person shifts because they've got their own karmic crap they're doing. Your karmic piece is, how am I cleaning up my unforgiveness? And then you have to kind of forget about them, which is really hard, especially if somebody's done you wrong. You know, we want to say, well, is forgiveness condoning their bad behavior? Not at all. We're saying, I'm not going to hold, you know, I'm not going to hold this anger against you because it's hurting me. I'm ready to be happy and free from this. And what convinced me really, and for forgiveness in general, is to realize that the people I don't forgive, I'm attached to. And that's the last thing I want. You see what I'm saying? Like so like those people when I was younger that hurt me, that abused me, the very people I wanted to be separate from were still running my life. I couldn't believe it. Once I realized that, I said, I want to drop that steel beam that's got us, you know. So, and it is a process over time for sure, but it is about your karma and they're on their own. So you're free and clear once you do yours, and then they've got their stuff to deal with. Okay, I wanted to give you a couple of quotes. I always like, this is a great old Charles Fillmore quote. Here is a mental treatment guaranteed to cure every ill that flesh is heir to. Sit for a half hour every night and forgive everyone against whom you have any ill will or antipathy. Anybody know what antipathy is? Like aversion. Like, ooh, they drive you nuts. Yeah. Okay, and then one of my favorite prosperity teachers, Catherine Ponder. Forgiveness is all powerful. Forgiveness heals all ills. I love that. Right? So forgiveness is a healer. Say that with me. Forgiveness is a healer. All right. I wanted to get to a couple of your questions because it was interesting as I went through questions from the last class. There were several categories, and I did base this whole series on the last questions, and I thought the questions were excellent. So we're going to get to both of these. How do I know if I have forgiven totally? We've gotten partially to that, which is forgiveness is a process, and it's rare that you, quote, totally forgive. What I mean by that is there's always more levels to go, but there are times where you get free and clear. In other words, somebody comes to you that has wronged you in the past, and you see them, and there's absolutely no feeling negative whatsoever. Does it mean there's still more forgiveness work to do just because you have a feeling? I mean, maybe, maybe not. What's coming up is probably residual, and it's also probably that thing called evolution, that reptilian brain back there that says, hey, you know what, they hurt you last time, don't get too close. Which is also an important part of the forgiveness process. Remember, forgiveness doesn't mean I'm going to get right up close to you. Forgiveness means I'm not holding this toxic energy anymore. Rarely is there reconciliation in forgiveness processes, rarely. The reconciliation is with self, not with the other. It's redemptive, but not reconciliation. Does that make sense? Dean, what were you going to say?
Question, there's been no place for it. So, if I've carried around absolute anger at someone who's done something really
right,
and I've rehearsed over and over again what I'm going to say, what I'm going to say,
right,
what I'm going to say, and finally after 20 years of carrying this, he approaches and he's like, hey, can you talk? It's like, sure. You turn around, the first words out of his mouth, I'm so sorry that I did. What do you do with that? He said, I'm sorry. Okay, so let that go, but that doesn't mean it's still there.
Yes.
So what do you do with that?
What do you do with that? Well, I think...
I can't go through with him. I mean, I can't talk to him any further about it.
Right. So, okay, so you mean... So the question is, how do you process it then after that?
What do you do when they apologize?
Well, that's their karma, and you can do with it whatever you need. So you don't have to say, great, I forgive you. You can say, thank you for saying that. And then you have your own process with it.
What is that own process with it?
We'll get to it. We'll get to that. We'll get to that. And it's the same thing of trusting your soul for when you're ready to forgive, you will know it. But just because somebody apologizes doesn't mean, okay, I have to forgive right now. It means finally they answered the clue phone and did the right thing. You know what I'm saying? But that's their stuff. If you still feel hurt, you still have a right to that. We're not always ready to give that up.
Can you say that again?
I would love to if I could.
Just because a person...
You have a right. You said something about you have a right to it. Yeah, you do.
You have a right to your hurt as long as you need it. Sometimes our hurt acts as a protection. And that's not right, that's not wrong. That's how we go through life. And certain hurts happen, and they become the story that we have to carry. we're asked to carry by Spirit. And then how we carry that story shows the condition of our soul, which means some people can go through life and let's say, you know, their dad beats them. And they respond by, they get married and then they start beating their kids. That's one way to respond to that story. Another way to respond is to work at a shelter for abused and neglected kids. See how those two people are carrying the story very differently. So even though there's a hurt there, that your soul has been wounded, you still have a choice how you carry it. Does that make sense? And you may or may not be ready to deal with the forgiveness piece for whatever reason. You know, it's not wrong. I mean, God, remember in Spirit there's no time or space. So it's all okay. There's a lot of grace for us, in other words. Yes, Leanne.
For a long time, I had never, like one thing I saw in my timeline was,
yes,
when I was younger, and I was brought up in this church thing, like, you know, you needed to get forgiven by whoever you hurt, so that when you died, you didn't have this unforgiven. So I was like OCD, like crazy person when I, you know, younger, like, will you forgive me? Oh, I stubbed your toe. Will you forgive me? You know what I mean? Like, just like cuckoo bananas. So I saw that. So, but another thing was I never heard until you said it one time about, like, you don't have to forgive right away, because like this person that had like done things to me that were mean and hurtful for a long time, and like I knew I needed to forgive them, you know what I mean? And you were like, you don't have to forgive them right away. And the other thing was that, like, things that happen, and we were talking about this car pulling down here, like, things that happened, I used to always make excuses, like, for my parents. Like, they're good people, right? And they are. But, I mean, it's like, I didn't even own my hurt. It was like, oh, they were doing the best they could, blah, 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 you know what I mean? Push it away. And it's like, to own it, that they were doing the best they could, and that totally wounded me and did not meet my needs that I had when I was that age. You know what I mean?
Exactly right.
So that's important for me to get. You know what I mean? And not just be like, oh, they were doing the best they could, I forgive you, blah, blah.
Right.
You know what I mean?
You're absolutely right. I'm glad you mentioned that, because in forgiveness, if we rush to forgiveness too quickly, it isn't real forgiveness, and the hurt's still going to be, you know, right below the surface. And the other piece to that is we're destined to repeat it if we don't look at it.
Right.
We are, destined to repeat on some level, even if it's subconscious, either a response to or repeating the pattern, like I was saying about, you know, if somebody beats you, then you beat who's next, because the hurt's never acknowledged. And sometimes we have to get mad before we can forgive. That took me a long time to get. You know, that I tried to forgive and then stuff would come back up and I would think, why? You know, I already forgave it or whatever, but I never held them responsible. And so a real important part of my healing was holding those people responsible. Yes.
And until I can see it, I can't talk to my therapist about it. You know what I mean?
You got it.
I can't be like, that was a really, that really hurt me as a young baby. You know, to be put in a closet when I was crying, even though I was in a bassinet and whatever, but I wanted to be held. That hurt me. You know what I mean? Not like they beat me or left me there for days or went out to dinner, but it was like, you know, I had colic. They like, you know, they did everything they could. They did everything they could, you know what I mean? And then they would just put me in this little bassinet in the closet and go in the other room so that, you know, well, I wanted to be held. You know what I mean? I know that now, but I didn't. You know, I couldn't even formulate that thought until I had talked to you for a while and my therapist. You know, it's like that hurt me. Now, I can't even talk about it if I'm just like, well, my parents did the best they could. You know what I mean? And so now I can get therapy. I can deal with it. I can deal with the hurt. I can work through it. You know
and especially hurts like that are pre-verbal. It's really hard to get language around it. Sometimes you're just like, why does this hurt? And I don't even know, and I feel like I can't say anything.
And why when somebody walks away from me do I feel panicked or something? You know what I mean?
Beautiful insight. Thank you so much for sharing that. Okay, let's go. Oh wait, I'm sorry, I didn't do one of those questions. Okay, one of them was, how do I get clear of it in front of people? Okay. Okay, if you're confronted by people and you're forgiven and it's challenging, again, I don't know who asked this question, but my sense is it was something like, Denise, what you mentioned, I've forgiven them and now here they are again and now this stuff is in my face. So probably there are just deeper levels to do, and I would say often if there was something to forgive, there may need to be some kind of separation until you can get clear, with the situation. That's very healthy to do. It's not always necessary, but sometimes it is, and if it is necessary, you want to listen to that soul part of you that knows, otherwise you might put yourself in a compromising position where it is going to be quite painful for you emotionally. Now, having said that, we all make the decisions we make that we feel like we need to make. I mean, I've certainly made some decisions. I've looked back on it and said, well, it probably wasn't the wisest thing, but I thought I was doing the best for everybody at the time. You know what I mean? So you just take each one of those. Does that make sense as it comes? Okay. Let's see. Okay, I am concerned about my disconnection emotionally. What if people deserve my love, but I cannot give it? What does this mean? I felt like this question was related to forgiveness because we disconnect emotionally usually when there's a hurt there and we haven't yet named it. Or it's a repeat of a pattern from when we were very, very young. Psychologically, that's called triggering a complex, right? So that gets hit, and all of a sudden we feel very disconnected. Like in the story Leanne said, why if somebody, is it okay if I say, if somebody goes away from me, why do I panic? Well, because it's a redo from when you were younger. And so a lot of times what we do when we are in pain emotionally, we shut down to save ourselves. And what can happen if it's real traumatic, a little piece of our soul kind of goes up here and is spinning around up here waiting to bring that piece back in. Does that make sense what I'm saying? Yes. Many people who've been abused physically, sexually, and even neglected have this feeling of remembering when their soul went up here. Yeah. They'll say, it's in the corner of the room, I remember seeing it. Go. Yeah, often that's happened to me in sessions one-on-one where you guys probably don't know this, but when I lived in Kansas City, I was a responder for victims of sexual assault. So there was an organization called Metropolitan Organization to Counter Sexual Assault. And I was a first responder, so if somebody was raped, you would go to the hospital and be there with them while they had to endure the whole rape kit thing. And then, kind of talk them through all of that. So what I'm describing is a normal thing that the soul does to protect itself. If the soul didn't do that, you'd split off and become schizophrenic. That's the difference. When I see people schizophrenic, I have so much compassion because I know the hell they must have lived through to be that way. You know what I mean? That their soul just didn't know how to do that. So I'm saying don't judge that as bad. Your soul did what it needed to protect you. Are you hearing what I'm saying on that?
Yeah.
And then as we do more work, we kind of bring those pieces back in to become more whole again. That's the idea in the healing work.
Yeah.
Wow. I'm sorry I'm going through these kind of quickly. I wanted to get to these last few. Why do people wait for forgiveness before dying? Why do you sometimes feel disconnected? I kind of answered that one already. About forgiveness before dying, people don't want to cross over, and often their soul won't let them until they deal with their unfinished business. I've been with many people at bedside at dying when I was working in the hospital, and the doctors would say, they are not going to make it through the night. And somebody in the family would say, well, his son's coming, his whatever, they haven't talked in 3 years, and the body will stay living until the son comes in. And I will say, I want you to tell your dad, if you can do it, I love you and I forgive you, and it's okay to go. If you can't say, I love you, I forgive you, he will not go well. You've got to help him go. And it's necessary for souls to pass on. If there's somebody in your life that you couldn't say that to, you can say it now. I mean, you can do that now. You can do it in meditation, you can write a letter, you can, we've talked about that a little bit, but it is a clearing, it's like unfinished business. The soul does not want to leave till it gets complete. Another reason to do your forgiveness work, so you don't have all this stuff, because you can't complete it all on deathbed.
Right.
And when you're there, and often we don't get the chance. I mean, one of us could die going home tonight. I mean, erase, I don't want that to happen. But I'm just saying, this is how life is. I mean, 6 months ago, there was somebody who came and said, oh, this was the best Sunday of my life. This is so wonderful. I cannot wait to come back here. And 2 days later was killed in a car accident. And then somebody mentioned that in prayer, and I said, he's here. Yeah, the energy's here. But I mean, it was so, nobody knows. That's why we want to do this work now, so we're ready to pass over, right? So our soul can take its next step. None of us know. I mean, I know we think we do, and we're going to live forever, forget about it. I just had one of my old speaking coaches in Kansas City. Her husband just died. She goes, you know, he died in his sleep the way we wanted, but I just thought it would be 20 years from now. We weren't ready. So all this work, all this forgiveness work is about getting you ready for that step. Some of us that are older are thinking about it already, right? Right, okay. All right. The question of suicide and can and will people come back and kill themselves? I think suicide is a very tricky topic because I think it's never a soul journey to kill yourself. So the Buddhists have a lot of teaching about that I'm not really schooled on, except to say it's very damaging to the soul. So, and the thing that happens, and I know this from a lot of spirit work that I've done with people over the years, when somebody dies, especially if somebody dies, it's true if somebody has a tragic death too, like they're killed in a car accident. Sometimes the soul doesn't know it's dead, and so it doesn't cross over the way it's supposed to. In the case of suicide, they feel the same, so they don't know they're dead, and they don't cross over. So they kind of get stuck in this no man's land of the trauma just getting repeated over and over and over until the healing work is done to help move them into the next phase. Who does the healing work? Great question. We do for them. Great question. What do you think?
I didn't hear it.
She said, what if nobody does it? They say over and over. Remember in the show Lost, remember I told you about that? Remember how they would repeat the same actions over and over and over until somebody did it differently and then they moved on? And you wouldn't see the soul anymore? So, believe it or not, there's dead in the room right now. There are ancestors, and when we heal, we help them heal. It goes 7 generations back, 7 generations forward. Okay, so without getting into a big suicide thing, because we really don't have time to go into it, but somebody asked a question, and it is very, very difficult for a soul after suicide. Because, and like I said, also in the case of tragic death, drug overdose, car accident, massive heart attacks, those things that come out of nowhere, the soul's off. I know it sounds weird, but one time I was working with a woman, and she was channeling this, like her grandma, and I was talking to her as the grandma through the woman, and so I said, Pearl, yeah, the woman's voice changed right now. I said, do you know that you're dead? I'm not dead. I said, is anybody talking to you? I don't understand it. No, nobody's talking to me. I want you to look down. Are those your hands? No. Are those your feet? No. I said, you gotta go. I didn't know. Thank you for helping me. Is there anybody you need to forgive before you go? Like the person whose body you're in. Because you're hurting them by staying. And she said, I'm so sorry. And so we helped her go to the light. That's, souls sometimes don't know.
Right.
They really don't know.
Right.
So that's why we do this work, right? We want to be conscious. Yes?
So the ancestors who are in the room or whatever, like we would call healthy ancestors,
Yes.
are those ones that have crossed over
Yes.
and are coming back to visit?
Oh yes, if they're healthy, they're good.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the ones that haven't done their work that are hanging out.
But how do you know which one's going next week?
How do you know? Yeah, if you're asking for ancestral support, just ask for happy, healthy. That's what's got to come. You don't know how powerful you are. Happy, healthy ancestors. If you need support, like when we do the fires out here, we're doing the native thing. We always say, only happy, healthy are welcome at this fire. Because there's some, you know, I've dealt with a couple. In spirit release, demons, you name it. One guy I was working with, I never saw anything like it. I swear to you this happened. It was like something out of a movie. I mean, if you would have told me ever this would happen to me, I would have said,
You're crazy.
You're crazy. That's what I would have said. But I was working with this guy, and he has spirit, and all of a sudden, in the middle of it, a different face came out of his face.
Oh, wow.
I mean, in the voice, it was like something like that. I mean, it was... I'm telling you, there's... Like Shakespeare says, there are more things, Horatio, than are dreamt of in your philosophy. I didn't know that was possible. All right. Let's see. We're going to do a little meditation here. Get comfortable. If you haven't turned your phones off or put them on vibrate, please do. All right. We want to remember always that we are guided and guarded by the Holy Spirit. We are loved, we are safe, and we are blessed. So just take a nice deep breath. Now take 5 more. Remembering as you breathe that there is enough time, enough space, enough energy, enough love, enough support for you. As I say these words, just repeat them silently to yourself. I ask for spiritual help, support, guidance, and protection in the work I'm about to do. As I say these words, I want you to repeat them aloud. I command in the name of God, Jesus Christ, Mother Mary, Wankantanka, Great Spirit, and all things holy, to bind all negative energies, all negative thoughts, all fear. We release them into the light now. With love, forgiveness, and blessings. And now just silently imagine any hurt, any fear moving up, out from you into the light. Release, release, release. Fear, doubt, worry. And now just imagine a waterfall flowing down your body, starting at the top of your head, moving down your body, just cleaning you out Cleaning out any fears, any negativities, any worry. Feel this waterfall washing out your whole body, moving down in and through every aspect of your body, removing any obstacles. And now ask Spirit to bring to mind those things you'd like to replace that negativity with. It might be love, it might be peace, it might be joy, it might be happiness or compassion or help. And now just imagine breathing that in, that you're surrounded by this energy, by a blanket of this love, this joy, this peace, this happiness, this health, this energy, this consciousness, this light. Let it soak in every pore and every muscle. Now imagine this golden armor covering you from head to toe, that's holding in all that good. Remembering that gold was one of the gifts brought to the Christ child because it is a medal of protection. See your whole body, your whole psyche, your energy field protected by this gold, so that all the good is sealed in. Let the gold cover every part of your body, your arms, your fingers, under your arm, your toes. Now just rest in this place for a few moments. Remember that you are guided and guarded by the Holy Spirit. You are loved, you are saved, and you are blessed. Have a few moments of gratitude. as you give thanks for all the spiritual support, thank your own soul that's always been guiding you, moving you forward. Even when your personality didn't understand, it was your soul that knew. Acknowledge the goodness within you. Remember that you are guided and guarded by the Holy Spirit. You are loved, you are safe, and you are blessed. As you bring this time of prayer and meditation to a close, remember how supported you are by the whole universe. And begin to bring your attention, your focus back into your body, into this time and place. Okay, we're about to do our love offering. Did you guys get the new envelopes? Isn't that cool on the back? Look at that. You see it? I love that little addition. And guess who designed that? Britt. We love Britt. Britt is so special to our ministry. She gives so much. She never ever misses a class. She's probably the only person I know who's in every class I've ever taught. That's Britt. She's an anchor in the consciousness of the church because of it. Truly. Truly. Good job, Britt. All right, so as we prepare to bless our offering, let's hold it together and we'll do I love our simple blessing that we do at class. I give in love because I love to give. Will you say that with me together? I give in love because I love to give. Realizing what a blessing it is to be able to give to the place where we receive our spiritual nourishment. We are so grateful. We are so blessed. And so it is. Amen. I did choose a special video tonight. It's called Signs of Forgiveness. I'm hoping it starts at the beginning. I had a hard time setting it up, so give me a second. sorry, is there a basket? Throwing stuff at me now? Throwing your love offering. Here it goes, it's going around. All right, so let me, as the basket goes around, let me give you, so these are really intense, this is a very intense exercise. It's preparing you for the forgiveness class in June. In June, starting June 1st, we're going to do 3 weeks in a row of forgiveness, a class called 70 times 7. But so your homework, your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to either, let's see, do I have that? I think I might have that real quick. Is to do a half hour, sorry, it should be of, not or. Do a half hour of forgiveness work each night, or, and I'll explain each of these. Do a 70 times 7 forgiveness list daily, or do nightly forgiveness where you repeat words of forgiveness for yourself and your body as you go to sleep, and say the forgiveness prayer. Someone, I don't know where are the forgiveness prayers. Don't hand them out yet. I just want to make sure you've done it. Okay, the half hour of forgiveness work each night.
It's of?
Sorry, of. My fault. Do a half hour of forgiveness work each night, or so a half hour work of forgiveness is a very intense practice. It would mean that for 30 minutes, all you focus on is forgiveness. This would be tremendous if you could do it. That's one option. That is the most intense option up here. The other one, the second one, 70 times 7, is where you write 70 times in a day. And the way I did it at first was 35 times in the morning, 35 times at night, and then I switched. Some days I just did all 70 at once based on my schedule. But you write this statement: I forgive, and whatever the name is, totally and completely. If you have never done it, I would start with yourself for the first week. And you have 7 days to do it. You cannot skip a day, or it's not really 70. I mean, you can, but in this process, I'm going to ask you not to.
It takes a half an hour to do it. It takes me half an hour.
It takes anywhere from 15 to 30 minutes based on how fast you write. And you know, sometimes, you know, when you do it, you're just going to be writing it real quick, and other days you're going to be, it's like a real, it becomes like a meditation as you write it. You know, when I was first doing it, I was like, you know what, I don't even know if I'm going to be conscious, but I'm going to do it 70 times every day, and I'm like, I forgive, I forgive, I forgive. And then by the end, it's like cursive, and I'm like getting into it. I've got my candle going, I've got my sage burning, and I'm, you know, going with the vibe. So, better the more conscious you can be and uninterrupted. But this is considerable amount of time for either of these, and it is about a half hour a day. And then the nightly forgiveness, this might be a little less, but words of forgiveness, you know, I don't know about you, but sometimes my body doesn't work the way I want it to. I have a friend that says, I have a type A personality and a type B body. Which I thought was funny. Right? It's like, I got that, you know. And I love to go. Right? So sometimes I have to forgive my body that it needs to rest. So words of forgiveness and even blessing, Myrtle Fillmore did this every night when she went to sleep. She would name each part of her body, and it's kind of cool if you know, like if you're really good at that and you know what all the parts are and all the official names, it's kind of cool. Name as much as you can, and you just forgive yourself for when you don't measure up. Most of us look in the mirror now and go like, not everything is in its original starting position. So there's forgiveness work to do, you know, there. And it's obviously from self, right? God already forgives you. So hear me say that. So that one is where usually you just speak and think parts of your body, and you just say, I forgive you. I forgive myself. I ask for God's forgiveness. You know, you just do it like a mantra. Any statement you can think of about forgiveness about your body. And then after that, I usually do a statement of blessing where I say thank you for my, you know, whatever. It's a beautiful way to go to sleep. And then when you wake up the next morning, you wake up, you know, free and clear. It really is a different energy to wake up. with. And then if you have a little time in the morning, I'm just going to add this to this practice. I had a mentor several years ago that said these words, and it was very helpful to me. She said, I want you, when you wake up in the morning, do not get right out of bed. She said, lay there and say, how is the universe holding me today? That is a beautiful question to ask. Because it helps you feel into, you know, the energy we were talking about. Okay, it helps you feel into the energy of what's going on in the day. Maybe what will even be asked of you. It's amazing what intuitively you can tap into when you ask that question. What is the universe asking of me today? Is a wonderful question. Wonderful question. And that's my wording of it. That actually is not really her wording, but that's my wording. Okay, and then the forgiveness prayer. This would be a nice thing to do probably to start your forgiveness practice at night. And we'll split them up and pass it.
What's the difference between the first one and the third one? Like do a half hour of forgiveness?
Well, it may or may not. Well, it may or may not. As I was thinking of it, the first one, the half hour of forgiveness, you would sit, you know, in a meditative position and do your practice. Okay, going to sleep, you know, it doesn't take me long to go to sleep. I'm always so tired at night. It might be a 5 or 10 minute exercise. So I was thinking the third one was the easiest in terms of time.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just a shorter process normally.
Okay.
And if you do have a hard time going to sleep, it's also a great practice because it helps your whole body relax, you know. But thank you for asking. That wasn't clear. What's that, Diana?
Where'd you go to sleep in the middle of it?
Fine. Fine. Go to sleep in the middle. No problem.
Well, for children, if I wanted to get them in this practice, do you think the third one would probably be the easiest?
Yes. Yes, and you know, for little kids, you know, the prayer that I did earlier, the one about, you know, releasing any negative energy, for several years I did that with Josh every night, that prayer. So just a clearing prayer every night. You know, kids don't have as much problem with forgiveness as adults. But you could ask them, and you could do this prayer that I just gave you with them because it's all written out. And you could also then have them say words of blessing for their body. A lot of times with my son, we'll meditate together right before bed, like a 5-minute meditation that we do. And any of the ones, my meditation CD that's in the bookstore would be good also. The CD is called the I Am CD. Oh, good, yeah.
It's awesome.
Thank you. I just recorded it, and I don't know, I'm playing piano on it too. I just did it because some people at Unity of Phoenix said, we need a CD, and I called our sound guy and said, hey, can I come over this weekend, and can we make a CD? Yeah. I mean, there was like the screen in front of the microphone was like made out of pantyhose. I mean, it was a real, there was a cat at the door when I was recording it, and I had to redo it. Oh my God, could you put your cat away? I was like, and God, I was like, okay. Okay, so for the forgiveness prayer, let's read it together. Let's read it all out loud. Oh, and see where you get to the one down there. It says, into thy hands I commit my spirit, my soul, my body, my mind, any unforgiven states, and anything you want to add there. You know, my life, or my finances, or, you know, my anger, or I'm giving it to you. But I left you a blank there because there might be something you want to specifically name that you're trying to move on out. Okay, does that make sense?
Yes.
And so tonight, just say whatever, you know, comes to your mind. Okay, so I'll read forgiveness prayer, and then we'll all start from where it says for awareness, okay? All right, forgiveness prayer. For awareness of my oneness with the love of God, I thirst. Thy will is my will. My God, this is my destiny. I believe in the healing, forgiving, resurrecting love of Christ within me. Into thy hands I commit my spirit, my soul, my mind, my body, any unforgiven states, and my complexes. Father, reveal that which needs to be revealed, and heal that which needs to be healed. Heal me at death. It is finished. Right? Great, right? So, thank you, Dorothy. And Did you laminate them too, or did Britt? Who laminated them for you? Did you do it? So thank you, Dorothy, for these. Yay! Dorothy always goes the extra mile. Yes.
About the
Go ahead. Go
the
ahead.
body, right?
Yes.
I feel like I've had a litany of abusing my body.
Right.
So could I just apologize to my body
You can.
rather than ask?
You can. What's the resistance to asking for forgiveness?
Well, I thought it would be like, I forgive you, my body, but in reality, I want my body to forgive me.
So ask it. Yeah, so ask it for forgiveness. Because your body's a living organism, right? Because you're not your body just houses your soul. Right? Okay, wonderful. So that's our ending prayer. Bless you all. I hope to see you Sunday for Race and Religion. Did everybody get the offering? No. The offering never made it up front. Okay. Did Renee just go to count?